Good afternoon again, everyone. So, I've been thinking recently about this concept that honesty is the best policy and how it's a belief that I've held firmly onto throughout the majority of my life because I've been conditioned into believing that. But what I'm learning is that perhaps honesty is something that's subjective to each individual and to each situation. And I think that there can be repercussions to being honest about things or forthcoming with information that you potentially don't need to be forthcoming with. So an example that I have of that is, say you're in a relationship and you have a coworker that flirts with you at work, and you, for whatever reason, decide that that was important information to tell your partner. So you go home, you tell your partner. Now what you've done is you've essentially planted a seed in your partner's mind that potentially didn't need to be there. And so that honesty is occupying your partner's mind that was previously not there. So say, for instance, in the past, you had to stay 30 minutes after work and your partner wouldn't have thought anything of it, would thought, yep, just working extra 30 minutes, no worries. But because you mentioned that your coworker was flirting with you and had essentially interest in you other than just being a coworker, now that's a thought that is occupying your partner's mind that will then cross your partner's mind when you have to stay that extra 30 minutes again in the future. So I think in those situations, you have to ask yourself, what is the purpose of me sharing this information with my partner? Is there any benefit to my partner knowing this, or is it going to cause more pain and suffering and concern that isn't warranted because nothing is going to happen? And that's a decision that obviously you have to make and you have to judge based on the situation. And I think, if there's potential that it could get back to your partner, then yes, addressing it before it happens is definitely important. On the flip side, when I think someone confronts you about a situation, I think that can be different too. So the example I have for that is my ex in America. I remember confronting her on numerous occasions, whether or not she had feelings for this girl or whether she found her attractive. And every time I confronted her, she said no. There's absolutely nothing there. I have no feelings, and whatever else. So I internalized that then as I was crazy and I was reading into something that totally wasn't there. But it turns out there probably was something, given that a week after we broke up, they ended up together. But then on the flip side, I think, okay, well, imagine if she was honest with me. Imagine if she did admit that she had feelings for this person and she was attracted to her. Then what would have happened? What would have happened is I would then have been worried about something the entire time, and I would have become even more crazy, but crazy directed at my partner. So rather than internalizing that craziness at myself and thinking I'm just crazy, I would have probably projected it and been extremely insecure about any interaction that my partner had. So I guess you have to make the decision of, well, what's more beneficial for the relationship. Another thing that I was thinking about with honesty is it's very easy to want to be honest because it cleans up your end of things. And what I mean by that is, say you have something that you want to admit to your partner because you're feeling guilty about it. Now you tell your partner and you have a clear conscience now because you've told your partner and you don't feel as guilty anymore. But what you have to realize is that shit that you were feeling, you've now put onto your partner, and they then have to deal with it and they then have to think about it all the time. So for example, and there's a very famous psychotherapist, Esther Perel, who talks about this in regards to her need for freedom and need for security in relationships. That's what she studied. She says that she actually discourages people from telling their partner that they cheated on their partner. The context of this might not be correct, so don't quote me on that. But the reasoning behind that is, what is the purpose of you telling your partner? Because if you're trying to just clear your conscience, but you've been in the wrong, so now the shit that you've done and that you've been through, you're putting that onto your partner, and you're saying to your partner, well, you have to make a choice. You have to live with the fact that I cheated on you and that I went against the monogamous relationship that we agreed upon, or whatever else it is. And it's easier for you to move on because you've cleared up your end of things. But that's extremely difficult for your partner to then make that decision of, do I want to be with someone who did this to me? Now, on the flip side, you don't tell your partner and it was a once-off thing and it'll never happen again or whatever. You have to live with that guilt yourself. And that's on you. And I'm not trying to say that I agree with cheating or agree with dishonesty or anything like that, but it's just something to think about, and to think about the repercussions of being honest about things. Is it just to clear your conscience, or is it because you think it'll improve the relationship? And those aren't easy questions to answer, and it's definitely something that's contextual. So if anyone has any thoughts on this topic, whether it's regards to honesty, cheating, any of that, always happy to hear your thoughts. Until next time, see you later.